Assassin's Creed Mirage is a sort of homage of the very first Assassin's Creed game, and it's also a sort of deboot of the series back to its simpler stealth action roots. At times, it was a welcome trip down an Animus-powered memory lane, but much like a Mirage, when I got too close, there wasn't much to see. You take on the role of Basim, a common street thief in 9th century Baghdad who soon finds himself joining the Hidden Ones, the precursors to the Assassins. What follows is a pretty by-the-numbers Assassin's Creed story with a largely forgettable cast of characters. You know how these things go. You're an assassin, there's some bad guys in a creepy cult, there's a mysterious alien thing, and off you go to stab your way to the truth. And while Basim may be a character players of Assassin's Creed Valhalla will recognise, the story here is, for the most part, disconnected and unimportant to the wider Assassin's Creed universe. It's very much a self-contained origin story, which is fine in theory, but it's just not a very interesting one. Mirage's big selling point is that it has taken a back-to-basics approach for the series. Before Assassin's Creed games were rebooted into being 100+ hour-long RPGs, they were simpler stealth action games, and also one time an excellent pirate game. How good was Black Flag? So you won't be leveling up and dealing with mountains of tiered gear anymore, but there is a little skill tree to work through, as well as a few different pieces of gear to find and equipment to unlock, each offering their own perks and playstyles, which can all be upgraded a couple of times too. But beyond that, the most powerful piece of gear is your simple Assassin's Blade, used smartly of course with some sneaky stealth. There's little in terms of new mechanics to discuss. If you played any of the pre-RPG games, then you know exactly how this plays. You run around the world, climbing towers to reveal the map, and you go on missions to mostly kill people or sometimes steal something, skulking around in bushes or on rooftops while watching enemy patrols for an opportunity to sneak by or get a quick kill. And when things inevitably go wrong and you get spotted, you'll end up having to fight your way out. The only notable additions were that high-level areas now often have an archer station somewhere who'll stop you from using your eagle for recon until you take them out, which does add a little bit of welcome challenge to infiltrating bases without being able to just tag every single enemy with your avian drone camera. There's also a satisfying power that lets you bank assassinations so you can mark several enemies at once and take them all out rapidly. It's totally an I win button, but I did always love clearing out a room with it. And sure, it is basically just the mark and execute move from Splinter Cell Blacklist, but how good was Splinter Cell? There's also now various tokens you can earn through doing side quests, which can be spent in a variety of ways. Some let you just lower the prices at a store, another can let you bribe your way out of any notoriety you've built up, but more interestingly is how they can be used during missions. Now, during major missions especially, you'll find opportunities to use these to either get closer to a target or to simply make the job easier somehow. The handful of major assassination missions were also a definite highlight of the experience, feeling a lot more intricately designed than usual, with more possible paths and ways to go about them, almost a bit like a Hitman game. But there's only 5 of these missions stretched out over the game's roughly 14-hour runtime. It's nice to have the series' classic stealth action back too, and not have to worry about running into some level 50 guy that you can't insta-assassinate anymore. Areas are still marked with a suggested rank, but your rank never felt like anything more than a title, and the suggested rank never felt like something I needed to heed. Outside of stealth though, the combat feels almost intentionally bad to make you want to use stealth. It's a very reactive combat system where you mostly have to wait for enemies to strike at you, waiting for opportunities to attack after they lunge at you with either a glowing red attack that has to be dodged, or countering them with a very generous parry window on glowing yellow attacks. Which would be fine if the controls felt responsive, but I legitimately changed controllers because I thought the bumper was broken, but nope, despite me mashing attack, Basim often just won't. Enemy AI also feels pretty dumb. Quite often I'd mess up and have a huge fight, only for nearby guards to not be bothered or alerted in the slightest. And it does also suffer quite a bit from the classic Assassin's Creed handling jank, where getting Basim and the camera to do what you want, especially in tight confines, can be a battle. But that's arguably more of a feature of the series than a bug at this point. The world of Baghdad itself is by no means small, but it's certainly the smallest Assassin's Creed map we've had to explore in a while, with just a single city and a bit of surrounding countryside. And what is here quickly starts to feel very samey. Most of the buildings kinda look the same, they're mostly the same height, most of the towers are the same, and it all just kinda blends together. Outside of some of the more interesting landmark buildings, it all just feels pretty forgettable. Visually, Mirage has its moments, where the lighting hits just right and some of the environments do come together to make for a beautiful vista. but character models especially, and just the overall look of everything feels a touch dated and unimpressive, especially compared to what other AAA games are doing at the moment. Overall though, Assassin's Creed Mirage just feels a bit mid-tier. It's got some solid stealth action moments, but the story, characters and world didn't do enough to draw me in. It was definitely a nice throwback at times, but it perhaps succeeds too much in feeling like something I've played before and played in better Assassin's Creed games. Mirage isn't awful, but there just isn't anything longtime Assassins fans would really be missing if they skipped this one. Pass.